got attacked by the bombers. The supers were coming down, dive bombing on the beach. People don't realise, but my God, you saw all your mates being blown to pieces, ships being blown apart.
You had big cannons going off.
We were powerless, we couldn't shelter. We just got under the sun. I can remember being in the back of a big sandbank and I could hear bullets going into the other side of it.
We just had to lay in the sand. It's all rather nasty.
Fighters and bombers kept coming over, machine gunning the beach. No protection at all. And you just sat on the beach and nowhere to go, so you just sat there and hoped that they'd miss you.
We used to make a duvet. We'd dig up the sand, put a tin roof on it, and make a hole so you could crawl in.
The part of the beach that I was on, there was no officers at all. We just had to look after ourselves.
I don't remember seeing an officer there. Everybody was looking after himself.
There's bodies lying all over the place. We had to bury a lot, and where we buried them, they put bottles. And I didn't know till, well, recently, they put the bottles there to know where they were buried so that they could take them up again.
Morale plummeted to a previously unknown level as the soldiers waited without supplies or hope.
For about 4 days, I hadn't got any food, no water, nothing.
48 hours on the beach. No food, no water, nothing.
And we couldn't drink the water, we couldn't drink nothing. Oh, it was terrible. There were people going out of their minds.
Some just, I suppose, just gave up. I don't know.
We had a cook about 24 stone, and he found an old bicycle, and he was riding around the beach on his bicycle.
The feeling of despair was in your mind all the time. You didn't know what was going to happen.
You were just numb. You couldn't think ahead.
Yeah, we did, wonder what was going to happen.
As they waited under a hail of bombs and machine gun fire, the defenseless soldiers felt abandoned by the Royal Air Force.
There was a general sense amongst the army on the beach that they had been abandoned by the RAF.
There was enough defence. Where was the aircraft guns? There was none there. I've never saw one British plane.
They didn't do much. Well, we hadn't got many planes, had we?
The Royal Air Force and Fighter Command were being vilified by the soldiers and sailors who felt the RAF weren't defending them at Dunkirk. Every time they looked up in the sky, they only saw Germans. Where were the RAF?
We had one RAF Spitfire come across the beach and everybody cheered. British plane. And this British plane came down machine gunned us. It was a Spitfire that had been captured by the Germans, and the Germans were useless.
Airmen who had been downed or who were working on the ground who were trying to get back on board ships to go back to Britain, they were basically turned away, or they were attacked by people saying, "You're not getting on board, you haven't helped us, off you go." That's how much they were vilified.
I thought that was a bit uncalled for.
We heard when we came back to England how the RAF were protecting the troops on the beach, well, not on our beach.
Weakened by losses during the French campaign, the RAF couldn't stop the German air assault, but they could hamper it.
The soldiers and the sailors simply believed that the RAF weren't there. The fact is, it was really unfair because the RAF were there.
The air battles over Dunkirk were actually quite intense. They were there, they just weren't directly over the beach. The Spitfire overflying the beach is going at well over 300 miles an hour and is going to be over the beach for a fraction of a second, a couple of seconds at most. The air-to-air combat that took place to try and stop the Germans from getting to the beach was 7 miles inland. So would have been out of the line of sight of the guys on the beach anyway.
They were there, perhaps not over the beaches, but a bit farther inland or out to sea.
You had this extraordinary standoff, and of course, at the time of the Battle of Britain, the entire attitude to the RAF changed, and they became the nation's heroes.
As German divisions pressed in on the perimeter of Dunkirk, the BEF were on the verge of annihilation, their fate balanced on a knife edge.
I'll tell you something, when we were under all that fire on the beach, I don't think there were any atheists.
I'd never stop praying.
A lot of them might have changed their minds when they got off, but we used to have a saying, we used to dig these small trenches, which we call slit trenches, and we used to say there were no atheists in the slit trench. You know what I mean, when all this nasty stuff was coming in. So that's just my personal opinion.
It was wonderful to see so many men praying. There's probably not prayed since, but I did a lot.
We were in the cellar for a week, and they brought out baskets with the rosaries in, and we all had to have a rosary, and we all stood there and prayed.